So this is going to be an interesting video because I'm actually going to look at my face and my eyes as I talk, which is extremely difficult and hard for me to do. I've always, when in conversation, will look at the mouth. Even right now, my tendency is to look down at my mouth as I'm talking to myself, even, which is hard. And I've always wondered why I did this, and I always went with the assumption that I must want to help my brain with the words because if I see the mouth moving, that gives me more information. And I think in reality, it's the fact that I find eyes to be quite intimate. Um, I actually just watched a video that kind of blew my mind on many levels, but that is likely a major factor in that is that I find too much information, too much of a connection in the eyes, so I back off and don't want to look at them. So that is likely a factor there. Um, I found out recently that I definitely have autistic tendencies, um, which also really surprised me, but at least has given me understandings as to why I do things I do. Not that I know how to correct them or if I even want to make changes in those areas. But in this case, this one here is actually one that I am going to try working on because I think that it actually ties into something else that I've always wondered about in my life. So, going back and I'm going to share a story and see, I'm even looking at it right now. Um, Back when I was in university, I had a summer job at a healthcare unit. The healthcare unit was a couple hours away from my hometown, and so I was living there. And I found it very unusual that no one said, "Hey, new boy," because I was just in university, so 2019. Why don't you come over and have supper, or let's go do something. I never had that happening, even though there was a few other people that kind of showed up that summer, and it was a totally different experience for them. And I always wondered why. And it's not just this one situation, but this happens all the time where I seem to be excluded, and I always wondered why. And it could like, and it could be because I'm not looking at the eyes based on the not the conversation, but the videos watching. I guess if you don't look at people in the eyes, especially at the beginning of when you during having a conversation, it says I'm not interested, and I always thought that was not a big deal because I was, well, not that that was something I ever thought of, but I never thought I was not saying that I was interested in having a conversation or being connecting with somebody because I was still looking at their face, I was looking at their mouth, or yeah, usually the mouth. So therefore, but I guess intuitively, you can see that the eyes are slightly different spots and not quite where you're expecting them to be, and maybe that is why. I don't know. It's something I'm going to play with, and we will see if I create another video. See if that makes a difference when I go to the bar or whatnot, and maybe who knows? Maybe I'll make a new friend. Always a good thing. So hopefully this video helps somebody else out. Later.